All right, hey everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Level Playing Field podcast. Another great conversation to be had today. We're going to be talking about the highest levels of success in college athletics. We're talking Indiana football, number one, coming from out of nowhere to win a national title, and also Penn State wrestling. Continued dominance for the last 2,000 days. They haven't lost a match. And what are they both centered around?
Absolutely.
Christ. And faith-based
Absolutely.
people
Listen,
leading the way.
you would think, Andrew, you would think that the Penn State football team, with all the failure that they've had, would just walk down the street to the wrestling room, right? Mm-hmm. And to rec hall, because Penn State is on fire, man. They're a wrestling program, and they've been taking numbers for the last 15, 20 years since Cal Sanderson showed up with his brother and his staff. They got they got an awesome group of men who love the Lord and are preaching Jesus. And man, they're just on fire. No one can even come close. And, I watched the Big Ten Network. I watched them wrestle Iowa, number 3 or number 4 Iowa. I watched them wrestle, and 33-3. 33-3.
Dominance.
I mean, it's like wham. They came out and they just put it on Iowa, the Hawkeyes, who spent a boatload of money on NIL or bringing a bunch of wrestlers in from all over the place, but they could not hang with the Penn State wrestlers. So everyone's saying, what the guys from Big Ten, the announcers were saying, what is going on in State College, And we all know, us wrestlers and us people that are alumni, you alumni of Penn State, you all know what's going on, man. It's real simple. They're in hook, line, and sinker, Andrew. Hook, line, and sinker, man. They're in prayer. They have a great fellowship group. And man, before the matches, after the matches, win, lose, or draw, I was going to say, but they don't lose or they don't draw. They just win those there.
They don't lose. Forget the lose. They have not lost a match since 2020. 2,000 days have passed since Penn State wrestling has lost. So that goes to show, and hopefully the Penn State football team, the new staff, hopefully they do walk down the street, and take in a few notes, because whatever Kale is doing over there has those guys so dialed in. And like what we were saying, we watched the match with Iowa. It's number 1 versus number 3. It wasn't close. It wasn't a good match. It wasn't like I was sitting there watching it on a Friday night, sitting back and be like, this is dominant. They didn't even come close. Hey guys, I really hope you're enjoying the show. Do me a favor real quick. Look down. Are you guys subscribed? Because it really helps us out. We want to just keep bringing the best content we can to you guys every single week. All right, let's get back to the show.
For you basketball fans and football fans and other sport fans that don't keep track of wrestling, that would have been like Indiana beating Miami like 40-3. I mean, similar. I mean, just a total lashing and a pure show of dominance. Now, Ohio State's got it going on this year. They're number 2 in the country, so that match is coming up here in the near future. But I don't think it's gonna. I don't think anyone is gonna stop them, because they're all on the Jesus train, as well as Indiana football. I mean, if they keep that Holy Spirit driven, they have Mendoza. He's a proud Catholic. He says he's a proud Christian. I told my children, I got a house full of Catholics, but I told them all, no, he's a proud Christian, And that whole fire was lit up by Tim Tebow, who's a Florida quarterback. He was just a kid growing up. The number 15. We mentioned it three or 4 shows ago. We mentioned it, but that spirit, man, that Holy Spirit-driven competition has him believing, and has the whole team believing. The tight end, even Coach Signetti, man, he's talking about God and pointing up to heaven, and that is just an awesome demonstration of the power of God right in front of our eyes in athletics. The plays these guys are making at Indiana, I mean, that extra dive into the end zone, Andrew, by Mendoza, winning the Heisman Trophy, and just the beauty of it. And here's a guy who's an average athlete, He's no superstar athlete, right? I mean, he was, you just look at the kid, but his heart, his spirit tells him something different. His heart and his spirit and his faith make him into a 6-star, a 7-star athlete. And that's something,
he's going to work harder than you, and he's going to believe more than you. And that's what it comes down to. And when he's got that whole team, I think the one kid, I think it was the defensive lineman for Indiana, he was a senior, Fernando's a junior, and he said that, he's like, I did some interview, and he was like, thank you for your leadership. Because without that intangible level of it, we would have been a great team. We would have been a top 10 team. But to get to the level that Indiana got to this year, win a national title, 16-0, first time since 1894, shout out the Yale Bulldogs. But to get to that level of success, you have to have an intangible level of belief, not only in the one person in the quarterback, but throughout the whole team that permeates through every single person in that locker room. And he said it, I forget his name now, Kamara, I think the defensive lineman, he came out and said, he's like, without Fernando Mendoza and that level of leadership that he brought, we would have just been a good team. But now we're an all-time team. And that's what that comes, that's what that level of.
And I'm sure our brothers from Yale in 1893 or 1894 were doing the same thing.
The year of our Lord, 1894.
1894. And who's the only show that talks about the Ivy League national championships and Jim Thorpe and all those legendary years? Here they mentioned Yale in 1894, but I promise you, all those Ivy League schools were basically seminaries. All these early schools were seminaries. I guarantee you they were praying before and after the games. So here are the two greatest supposedly undefeated teams in NCAA history: Yale in 1894 and Indiana in 2026 with the 2025 season. They were all praising God, and I guarantee you, all those great Yale athletes and all their families are all smiling smiling in heaven and are rejoicing because it even came back up. But I would tell you, on the flip side, on the bad side of it, I'm going to call Kirk Cignetti, or I'm going to send him a letter, and tell him, as great as accomplishment that Indiana had this year, what are they doing? What are they doing with a 30-year-old punter from Australia? And just to take a shot at Kiel up at Penn State, they have a 25 or 26-year-old Japanese wrestler who was a world champion on their staff, but I was happy to see he didn't wrestle. He didn't wrestle against Iowa, nor is he actually wrestling right now. So I hope he, from our show, and we send messages, and they got a great spirit. I think that they probably changed their mind on him, but they're still going to respect them and keep them in their room, in their Olympic training center. They call them RTCs, regional training centers. Now, what Penn State has is, rather than the guys having to go out to Denver and train, they actually have a regional training center at State College where they can have where the guys, they have an Olympic team training there, which is awesome. But I think they're hopefully just going to keep him on that team. But Kirk Cignetti, with his success, what is he doing with a 30-year-old? And by the way, Andrew, think about this. Miami has a 24, 25-year-old freshman punter from Australia. And did you see the punk? Mm-hmm. I don't want to call him a punk, but he's a punk. He has no business being 24, 25-year-old freshman from Australia, right? And what does he do? I mean, look, you got a quick punt. You're going to get that punt off. He takes his good old time. There's no great rush. Gets it blocked. And then after it's blocked, what does he do? He cowers out. He don't even chase the ball and try to recover the ball, so it would only be a safety. Do you understand? He just cowards out, and he sort of just runs off the field like, no big deal. You know what? No big deal. They're playing for a national championship. You had one of the baddest cats ever to play in college or the NFL. Ray Lewis was there representing the University of Miami, and they lost because
he's a junior. Sorry, real quick to stop. He's a junior, not a freshman. But still, he's 25, 26
So anyway, he didn't care about the game. He didn't chase the ball. And look,
Yeah.
There's punters all over the country right now who would give their, to be a punter at Indiana.
Yeah. The Ray Guy, perfect example here. The Ray Guy winner, the best punter in the country this year, from Georgia, Brett Thorson, 25 years old, 25, 26 years old from Georgia
What
or
is
from
that?
Australia.
What is this?
So,
But
I mean, that's
the
it.
runner-up was a 21-year-old. The second best punter was a.
Yeah.
Tell us about him.
I think he was from North Carolina. I forget what team he played for now, but he's from North Carolina.
21-year-old, senior. He was the second best punter. So why Georgia, Miami lost? They lost. And I'm going to reach out to Ray Lewis. I bet you he missed that. He's so busy. He's got some stuff going on. I bet you he missed it. That was a 25-year-old punter from Australia who blew the game for him. Okay, I mean, Goose. I hung out with Ray. Tony Siragusa was my roommate. He's one of my dear friends, and when I hung out, and I know Ray. I'm going to reach out just coincidentally. He was there at the game, and he was there for before the game. I'm going to reach out to him and put that in his ear. Hey Ray, that you had a 25-year-old punter from Australia that lost the game for you. He's going to go, what? Yeah, that punter. And did you watch him? He just took his time, knowing, the heat was going to be on. And then when it was blocked, he didn't even chase the ball, for God's sake. Everybody knows the punters. And you see, that's what an American punter who runs and works out and grows up being a backup quarterback, and he picks up punting or being part of a team, he's doing the whole workout, the whole routine. He's part of the team. He's eating and breathing TEAM. Together, everyone accomplishes more. And that's a prime example of what foreigners, bringing them in to play football, punt, whatever the position is total garbage, And we have.
I also,
go ahead, Andrew.
I also liking the fact that just like technique wise, those Australian punters, they do that rugby style kick where they're like drifting to the side. When he drifted to the side like that, the guy who sets up the wall in front of him, he missed his block or didn't do it. It's not even that guy missed his block. It's just you're drifting into a less advantageous situation instead of just kicking straight forward. And that's their style. They do that running rugby kick. So it just doesn't lend itself to the style. It doesn't lend itself to the sport.
What we got basically is, we got the top basketball coach in America, or one of the top basketball coaches in America, that is just blatantly, resounding the alarm that you and I have been sounding forever. We've been ringing bells, sounding alarms, calling senators, calling up athletic directors, governor. We're the alumni. We're trying to ring some alarms, but to hear the top basketball coaches in America speaking out against everything that we've been talking about, look, it's happening in all of the women's sports. We're very aware of that. We mentioned it in women's volleyball. We mentioned it in women's soccer. In hockey, it's happening. They got some foreign cats in hockey. In wrestling, even, like I had mentioned, we got a Japanese kid up in State College, but Cal has not used him yet, which makes me happy. I don't think they should ever use him and just ship him back to Japan. But the point of the matter is, this look, it's got to stop. And when you have these top coaches, and even when the Miracle team, the 1980 gold medalist Olympic team, was down with the President of the United States, they spoke out against it. So when does it stop, and how does it stop, Andrew?
More and more as we continue down this road, more and more people are starting to speak out and say this just doesn't make sense. So really quick for everybody, we're going to cut to John Calipari doing an interview really quick, talking about this exact subject. All right, let's go.
Again, real simple. You got 5 years to play 4. If you stay at the same school 4 years, we'll give you a 5th year. If your coach leaves or is fired, You can transfer without penalty. You can do it once, and if the coach is fired or leaves, you could end up doing it twice. But after that, you got to sit out. You transfer, but you got to sit out. Does anybody care what this is doing for 17 and 18-year-old American kids? Do you know what this opportunity has done for them and their families? There aren't going to be any high school kids. Who, other than dumb people like me, are going to recruit high school kids? I get so much satisfaction out of coaching young kids and seeing them grow and make it and their family life changes that I'm going to keep doing it. But why would anybody else, if you can get NBA players, G League players, guys that are 28 years old, guys from Europe, do we really know their transcript? Do we have somebody over there? Do we really know their birth certificate? Or don't we? And then, just there's no. Look, Tommy Izzo, Mark Few, there are a bunch of us that are just, we got no rules. Why did they let that kid play? Tell us all. Here's what the reason. Then we'll all go get pros. We'll go find them.
All right, so what you guys just saw there, John Calipari, legend in the sport, Final Fours, national titles, undefeated teams. He has been doing it on a high level for a long time. And basically what he's saying there is it's out of control. Just like what we've been talking about for the last, I don't know, however many months now. But now when you have people coming out saying, John Calipari, there's name recognition behind these people saying this. John Calipari, Tom Izzo, Mark Few. Dan Hurley also came out and had an interview saying basically the same thing. He's like, you know what, if the things that we're doing don't allow us to compete in the sport, if the sport changes so much, then I'm just gonna step away because that's not what I want to do. And I'm going to go do something else because the college experience, the amateur athletics, it isn't.
And that's the beautiful thing. What these coaches are trying to get in all of America's and all of the powers that be is that, look, this is such a beautiful American experience to be able to take high school athletes, in American high schools, and then from there, mentor them and raise them up that they grow and they become, they become the most that they could possibly become, and they bond with the team, right? Together, everybody accomplishes more. And, oh, by the way, the alumni, the universities, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful tradition that's been put together. We were talking earlier, the 1894 Yale team came up when Indiana won the national championship, right? So these are the types of things that our American heritage has preserved, and it got no room for foreigners. 25,000 foreigners, 25,000 foreigners are in our Division I programs in all the sports now. In football, we just talked about the punters in football. It's ridiculous to have a bunch of foreign punters punting at our universities, 30-year-olds, and that's a point that the coach makes. No one knows their age. Who said that to you all?
So
you have them coming over.
All right, guys, quick time out here to talk about our friends at RC Graphics. If you've ever coached or run a team or you own a business, you already know this. Look good, feel good, play good. How you look matters. Jerseys, banners, signs, merch. If it looks rushed or cheap, people notice. And that's where our friends at RC Graphics come in. They're a family-run company dating back to 1991. And when you work with them, you're not getting bounced around or dealing with any online forms. You're going to talk to our guy, John, who's going to make sure that your order is perfect every time. They handle commercial offset printing, digital printing, signage, promotional products, custom apparel. Look at this hat. This is so high quality. This is amazing. Whatever you need, all the stuff that helps your organization look professional, they got it covered. The best programs don't cut corners, and RC Graphics doesn't either. They've been doing it the right way for over 30 years, and it shows in the final product. So if you need any printing done, call RC Graphics. They got you covered. All right, let's get back to the show. Calipari just said the quiet part out loud that everyone's been dancing around for, the last couple of years, especially in football. But he was like, you know what? except for people like me who want to be here to help people and help the kids. And like he said, like I get so much out of watching these kids, grow and give them the opportunity to showcase their skills on a national stage, and helping the families and watching these people like change their entire lives through education and opportunities, and helping American kids raise up, to a different standard of living. He goes, I love that. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm going to continue to do. But he's like, if you're not me and you're up and coming and you got to make the grade because you don't have a background name or someone who's been doing it for 30 years, what are you going to do? Well, why wouldn't you go to Europe? Why wouldn't you go scout kids that have been playing professionally since they were 16 years old? Why wouldn't you go and do that? Because you have to. If you're going to compete at the highest level, he goes, I'm going to continue to, go out and find high school kids, but there's no reason. There's no reason that a basketball program shouldn't have scouts going across into Europe looking for professionals. But he said, he's like, what is that going to do to 17 and 18-year-old high school American kids? They're not going to get
That's in every single sport. It's in every single sport. So the matter of fact is that it's and we coined this phrase. It's the National Collegiate Athletic Association, not the International Collegiate Athletic Association. And the federal funds and all of the monies that are coming to these universities are to fund National Collegiate Athletic Association. And, oh, by the way, the National Chaotic Athletic Association that operates is the one who's creating all this chaos by permitting it to occur and not straighten it out. And who in God's name is going to stop this? Well, we the people, right? It's the 250th anniversary of our great country that we have now, and the Minutemen in Pennsylvania, like we talked about, I keep telling you this. It was the Minutemen that got with General George Washington right down here in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, and they had their first victory against the English, against the Redcoats. So right here in Pennsylvania, all you folks that are watching us in the state of Pennsylvania and throughout the country, we need to step it up and get it going. And we started this show off, and I want to point on LSU, right? LSU, man, great university. They have this awesome singer, right? Who's beautiful. Wow, what a talent she is. She's a graduate from LSU, and maybe they need to get with her rather than spending $35 million. Her name's Lauren Daigle, by the way. She's an LSU grad. Oh, she loves Jesus, and she's awesome. So rather than spending $35 million, maybe you LSU Tigers need to go ahead and recruit her and let her sing a concert to all your football players and all your basketball players, and maybe she'll get them fired up. But spending $35 million combined, or $40 million with this new coach from LSU, from Ole Miss, and stealing them, it's not working. It's the National Chaotic Athletic Association, coaches going here and there, players going here and there, bringing in guys from foreign countries that are 30 years old and 28 years old and playing professional basketball overseas and competing in the NCAA. For God's sake, it's got to stop, Andrew. And all of these need to stand up at every university.
Yep. So now, again, let me say this. The names we're putting out here are not small names. We got Tom Izzo, obviously, Michigan State. They're ranked number 10 right now. Mark Few, Gonzaga. They're ranked number 8. Calipari, Arkansas, number 20. Dan Hurley, coach of UConn, number 2 in the country. So these are high level coaches that are now sounding the alarm and saying this doesn't make any sense. And Dan Hurley, who obviously went to Duke, was on all those great teams with Krzyzewski and all that. He said he could put out this scenario. He goes, so what happens when? All right, it's next year's football season, and because the NCAA now has a precedent that they're letting in G League players into the NCAA, so now you can go get drafted and come back to college and have eligibility, which makes no sense. But the NCAA has no teeth, and they're terrified of being sued through antitrust lawsuits and all that kind of stuff. So they have no recourse. So what happened? Yeah. So what happens next year? Right. He's saying what happens next year? We're in the middle of the football season. Week 8, someone gets hurt. The Big Ten offensive tackle and Ohio State, Michigan, they get hurt. Can they now go snag someone off of an NFL practice squad who still has another year of eligibility? Can you go say, all right, you're a practice squad player for the Browns. You're getting paid minimum NFL salary. Come back to college for 1 year. We'll give you $3 million, probably triple your salary in the NFL. Come back, play for us, win a national title, then go. And how does that even work? Do you go back into the draft? It doesn't even make any sense, because now you're crossing lines that were drawn. They were there for a reason, and now it just doesn't make any sense. Now it's like you can go and poach professional players, have them come in for a short time and just go about. It doesn't make any sense. There are no rules, and now these big name coaches are starting to come out and say it, and I am here for it. I am so excited to see what happens next, because these aren't nobodies.
Well, listen, too, it's not just that, right? You got the Olympic hockey team, right? Legendary Olympic hockey team with all these, great guys and their families. They're with the President of the United States saying NIL is bad. It's got to be fixed. Do you understand? So not just him. Then you have guys like Troy Aikman speaking out against it. So, look.
Big name guys. These are not nobodies.
We're starting to get some momentum. And look at Dennis Atia and Andrew Cardos. We're Christians, man. We're just as big as them in God's eyes. You understand? So, and I've been around the block too, man. I've competed at a very high level, athletically in football, and wrestling, and I sparred and boxed in the Golden Gloves. I sparred with Larry Holmes. Man, I've been around the biggest and greatest athletes ever to competed against them. And what I'm saying is I'm fighting a fight for the kids, and it made me so happy to see these college basketball coaches standing up and talking in the same sense. They're looking out for our high school athletes in America, and all of this chaos. The National Chaotic Athletic Association needs to be really needs to be oversight. They need to be taken over. I mean, they're making millions of dollars. They never played any sports in their lives. They don't know which way's up or which way's down. And they got some lawyers. I mean, we all know lawyers have ruined our country, basically, but we got to get it back. We can't let the National Chaotic Athletic Association and some lawyers ruin what God has established and all the godly universities and godly men and women have worked for and have sacrificed. And that's all got to stop. And we need those Minutemen. We need you alumni to stand up and reach out, man, to those senators, to those congressmen, to those governors, to the President of the United States. Make it happen. And look, with the help of God, we can bring it back to where it belongs. And I promise you, this week, I'm going to call. He coached, Coach Signetti, he coached at the University of Pittsburgh with me. And Ray Lewis is one. I'm going to call both of those guys up to bust both universities' coaches. That what were they doing with these 30 and 24-year-old punters just to add insult, right? And the 24-year-old punter lost the game for Miami, and he had no loyalty or no guts. It's so apparent right in front of your eyes. These great American athletes that are having their scholarships stolen from them and these opportunities stolen from are worth fighting for. And now, Andrew and I, we got a little bit extra momentum. We got some superstar coaches, and they all, by the way, Andrew, they're all watching our show, of course. This is where they're getting all their info from. But anyway,
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.
This story's not going anywhere. This story's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. It's only going to get deeper as we fall down the rabbit hole here. And the NCAA is I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be a fantastic ride, and to see how amateur and college athletics progress into the new century and this new era of college sports. So I want to thank everybody for listening, and this has been a great conversation once again. And continue to like, subscribe, and interact with us on all of our social media channels. And until next time, have a great day.